I'm hitting record. Well, hi, Linnea. How are you
Hi,
today?
Jenny. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, thank you for coming on to talk to my Spoonie sisters. And is there anything that you want to share that I didn't ask you ahead of time?
Um, I think people should know that moms can do this too. Like we can still be great moms and have an autoimmune disease. I think that was my
Exactly.
biggest thing I would love to add to this is moms can do this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I could not agree with you more. So, what does your diagnosis story look like? How did it begin?
My story started with I remember growing up always just being achy and going to the doctors and just never feeling like I was being listened to or I was being a hypochondriac or I'm sure you understand all that. Um, but then my symptoms progressed, and in the early 2000s, I started having joint pain severely in my hands. Um, Other symptoms I now know that is RA, but at the time I didn't relate the two together, the joints and the other symptoms, as being one thing. It just progressively moved to other joints. And I was just diagnosed with arthritis. I was given just arthritis medicine that did nothing for me. It progressively got worse after my two pregnancies. But then my biggest jump where it really made a huge was in October of 2009. October of 2009, sorry. I participated in the 3-day breast cancer walk,
Okay.
and we walked 60 miles in 3 days. I did it with several friends. We raised a ton of money for breast cancer. Um, I was in the best shape of my life ever in my whole life.
That
We
sounds
returned.
amazing.
It was so much fun. I have great memories, but coming home after that, I did not bounce back. My friends returned to the gym. They went right back doing boot camps that we were doing before. I could not even get out of my desk out of my chair at my desk at work any longer. And I knew something was happening. At this time, my primary moved. So I'm no longer
Oh
have a doctor.
no.
So I'm stressing not only about my health, but not having a good doctor. I found a good one, and he was the first doctor that noticed in my history of all the other pains and symptoms, but also noticed that my mom had RA. And that is when they're like, we need to look at you closer. And he was the one that really jump started my RA diagnosis for me.
So he started linking things together.
Yes,
That
right off
sounds
the
like
bat.
a wonderful doctor.
Uh, yeah. And then, I'm sure there's probably tons of spoonies that have been through tons of doctors. And I went through a few rheumatologists to find the one that worked for me. But it doesn't seem long from when it started from 09 to my diagnosis in 10. But if you start looking at my history, the doctor's like, oh man, this has been going on way much longer than anybody paid attention to you. And so that's kind of where my journey started. And I don't tell people, but I'm on disability because my RA got so bad. So, but I'm here today.
And that's all that matters, right?
Yes, yes,
I feel like as long as we're here, as long as
yes,
we're taking strides to make
yeah,
our lives the best that we possibly can, I think that's what matters.
yes.
Um, okay, so were you familiar with the term spoonie when this kind of came across to you?
I I wasn't. I had no idea what a spoonie was. I didn't know the spoon theory until I finally I've got to find people that have this too, so I cannot feel like I'm out here by myself fighting this. Um, and that's where I learned it from an RA support group on Facebook. Was and it was the best way to describe to any of my family members how I was feeling. And now they're like, Mom, you're out of spoons. Like they even refer to my illness
Oh,
with
that's so
spoons. Yes,
great.
yes,
So
yeah,
they're protective of you and they're paying
yes.
attention, and that's
They're very
great.
protective. Yeah,
I don't actually remember how or when I came across the whole spoon theory. I think I was just scrolling one day, when I
Yeah.
started my journey, it was just one of those, I want to know everything. I want to find everything that can possibly help me. And one day I was like, oh, spoon theory. This is genius.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
It makes
And
it so easy.
all she was doing was sitting in a restaurant with her friend. And who knew that it was going to become such this big thing?
And it's a great way for us to connect too with other people with chronic illnesses, because we do have that in common. We are all spoonies, even though we have different diseases. Like, and
Absolutely.
it and I think some of us, I know for me, I felt very alone when I first was diagnosed. I shut myself off from my friends because they didn't understand. Because just 2 months before that, I walked 60 miles in one weekend. Like, they didn't, some people did not understand.
It didn't make sense to
They
them.
did not make sense why I could do it and I can't now. And so to protect my heart, I closed off, and I wish I would have never done that. So
So were
don't
you
do
able
that.
to, so were you able to kind of repair all that and bring people back into your
Yes,
journey?
actually, it started just over the last couple of years. Like, I've started opening up, and I explained to them, and a lot of them understood it. And the ones that, like my best friend that walked on the 3-day walk with, we are a strong friendship ever. Like, she understood, and she wrote it out with me. Even if I was a distance, she wrote it out with me. And I think it just comes down to true friendships.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I've heard from so many people, and even I experienced it where people weren't understanding, and before you knew it, they kind of start talking to you less and less.
Yep.
And I feel like that's even more common than us closing off from others, is eventually it's like they think I'm crazy and they're
And
just
it
not calling anymore.
and it could have been partly that, where I just, and to me, in my head, it was me closing off. But I know there were some of them that stopped
Yeah.
when I couldn't go out, you know, for coffee or for a drink after work, or because I needed to go home and go to bed, because I was going to fall asleep if I didn't get straight home.
Because you're running out of spoons.
Exactly.
So what do you wish you would have known at the very beginning of your journey?
um I wish I would have had more information up front. I wish I didn't have to try and weed through all the information on the internet and books, trying to decipher what would work for me. If my doctor would have maybe just talked to me a little bit more about how important food and exercise, and not just medication, how much the big picture has to helps us, and
Absolutely.
not just a pill or a shot or infusion. I needed to know. And I think that was something I wish I would have had personally, would have more information from the doctor on how to take care of myself as a whole, not just my RA.
So do you feel like in the beginning they gave you very much information, or were you another one of those people where they handed you a pamphlet and sent you out the door?
Yes. Yeah, on my notes, it was like, here's your diagnosis, there's the door, you can leave now. Like, and I think that was my first rheumatologist, and it was hard. And I think something else I wish I would have known, that it was okay that I could change doctors. If I didn't vibe with my doctor, or I didn't feel like he was listening to me, I wish I would have known that it was okay to do that. Like, and I've learned that through years of talking to other spoonies, talking to other people with chronic illnesses, that if you don't vibe with your doctor, go find a new one, because that will
Absolutely.
make the difference, is having a good doctor.
Our care team is so important, and we
Exactly.
need them to work together well, and we need them to listen to us.
Exactly. And I
Well,
think
I'm glad
that's,
that you know that now.
I know. I think that's what I love most about this podcast, is there's going to be new spoonies that are going to hear all little tidbits from all of us that have been through it and done it. and maybe we could save just one person the heartache that we all went through
Yeah.
with our diagnosis.
Yeah. Well, and I hope they realize that some of this is multifaceted, and some of these illnesses, they overlap. Just because a person has rheumatoid arthritis doesn't mean they don't suffer from so many other things. And
Yep.
sometimes that's why we also struggle with our spoons, is because we have all these different things coming at us.
Yep.
And so I'm excited to share, because there's quite a few of these ladies that they have
Yes.
multiple things going on. So one thing that someone wanted to know: what does your self-care list consist of?
Oh man, where do I begin?
I know, right?
It's every day is a different self-care for me. Like I always try and make time. And that was something I just started in the last year, of making time for self-care. And today was a hot bath just to relax my joints. I didn't sleep well, so I needed just to decompress and kind of zone out for a little bit and just relax. And that's something I do, is hot baths a lot. The hotter, the better for me. And Epsom
Mm-hmm.
salt, all kinds of Epsom salts, herbs, whatever I can throw in there that might make me feel better, I will throw it in the tub. And I like
Yeah.
reading, just shutting my brain off from thinking about my illness and doctor's appointments and how am I going to do my next, chore or whatever.
Yeah. I think that's a really important self-care list, because I think, especially with people with RA, sometimes we're in so much pain that that's all we focus on. And we're not thinking about, well, if I lay here in bed and I feel
Yep.
sorry for myself, it's going to hurt more. Like, I
Yes.
have to move, and I
Yes.
have to soak in the water, and I have to do these things,
Yep.
because otherwise my whole day is going to look like this,
Yep.
and it doesn't have to.
Exactly. You got to find things that you can de-stress, that will
Mhm.
de-stress you, because I know for me, stress is one of my biggest triggers. Like if I get too overly stressed, it will like throw a flare. And so I have found ways that help me. And sometimes it's just moving, just going for a walk, even a 10-minute walk.
Oh
It's
yeah.
moving, it's getting my joints warmed up and moving. And it's amazing how much more I can do after that 10-minute walk than before the 10-minute walk.
Yeah. One of my doctors actually said, even if you can only get 5 minutes of exercise, I don't care. That's really all you need. Just
Yeah.
do what your body can handle that day. It doesn't have to be a marathon. Even if it's 2 minutes of stretching, if that's what's going to
Yep.
help you. And so all of our
Exactly.
self-care lists look so different, but some look very similar.
Yes,
Do you always prefer heat over ice?
I do. Ice, cold is not, like, cold is a trigger for me. Like the weather change, like right now, the weather's going back and forth.
Yeah.
Those sharp changes are rough. Like
Oh, they
the
are.
last week and a half has been so rough, because it's like 80 one day and it's 60 the next. And it's like, I can't ever adjust. Now, heat, I love heat. You give me heat all day long. It makes my joints feel better. I can move better.
I I agree. And every once in a while, there's people that tell me that they really like the ice. And, maybe there's a circumstance where I
Yeah.
could, but most of the time, no. Give me all the Epsom salts.
Yeah.
Someone shared with me an Epsom salt that has arnica in it.
Oh,
And the only place I've been able to find it is on Amazon. If you ever want to try it, I can send you the link.
yes.
But it actually feels so good. Even my husband, I caught him sneaking it, and I started
Those
teasing him.
men.
That is mine. Do you have RA? No, that is for me. Next thing I know, a week later, I get this big old box in the mail, and he ordered me 2 more bags.
Oh, oh, you sound like you got a husband like mine. Like mine would do something like that, like would order
Yeah,
more. Yeah, I got
yeah.
after mine for I found some CBD lotion that I like for my hands. It really doesn't work on many joints, but on my hands, it works great. And he used it one day and I got after him. I said, that's expensive.
That's for
You
me.
use kid mine.
How dare
I
you?
share a little bit.
Okay, well, I'm glad it's not just me.
No.
Oh, wow. Okay. What is your most triumphant warrior moment? That one's a hard one for me.
I really struggled with this one. I've thought about it a lot, and I keep coming back to one moment, and I hope I don't cry because so when I went on disability, within 2 months, I was on a walker. And getting to just the bed to the bathroom was a struggle anymore. But I pushed and I got rid of that walker and I got rid of that cane, that I progressed from the cane to the walker and then walker back to the cane. And I got rid of both of them. Now, the walker's in our attic forever. I need it because someday down the line, I might need it again. Way down the line is my goal. And the cane is in the back of my closet. So when in the wintertime, when I'm a little stiffer and I just need a little bit of stability in the mornings, it's still close by. But I do not depend on them like I did 5 years ago. That is my biggest triumph of my journey, is that. And I think my next one will be when I get more weight off and my joints are less stressed. Like, I have little goals, but that was my biggest one.
That's awesome. I'm trying not to tear up with you.
I know. I was like writing that and I was like, maybe I don't want to say that because I don't want to cry. But then it's like, but it truly is my biggest moment. And there was a mind shift in there that I wasn't going to not see my kids grow up. I wasn't going to not ever see a grandchild. I was going to make sure I met all those moments in my life. And I think mindset's a big thing for us.
And I think you've done it. From what I can see anyway.
I have.
You have that beautiful grandbaby.
Oh my God, she's so cute.
Oh my gosh. I should have inserted all kinds of questions about that.
That's the next one. That's the next part. How to live with grandchildren and survive RA.
You know what? I think that'll be a great one for you and I to cover.
Yes.
We're going to have an episode too.
Okay.
We better start making a list. Okay. What are a few misconceptions about your RA that originally you believed to be true?
Growing up with a mom with RA, I didn't realize how it did not just affect my joints, it affected everything. Like, for me, it affects my eyes. I get a lot of swelling in my eyes and inflammation, so I have to use steroid drops. But we know people that it affects their lungs and it affects their heart, and it affects so much more than just our joints. I think that was the biggest thing for me, was that piece, that it's not just our joints that are affected by RA.
And I know I didn't send you this question, but I'm going to say this. So,
okay,
growing up with a mom with RA, what was that like? Did you realize what was going on?
That's a good question. I've not ever been asked that. I knew she had arthritis. Like, I knew there was something there. And then as I got older, like middle school, high school, I started hearing RA, rheumatoid arthritis. She started taking methotrexate. So I knew when I was diagnosed and had that, I already understood that medication because she took it. I just did not realize how hard it was for her to do so many things, and how hard it was for her to be present in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I really had no idea how much she put up with to make sure she was always there for me. And I would give anything to tell her thank you for that. And I know she knows, like, we had a good relationship, but that was, I hope I answered that. I'm not sure if I did.
I think you
Brain fog.
did.
I think brain fog just came in.
Hey, you know what? We both have it. And
Yeah.
so as long as we
Yeah.
can
I'm
somehow
like,
get through this together.
yes. Yeah.
So do you have any idea how old she was when she started struggling?
I remember, gosh, I was probably 12 or 13. She had a knee replaced.
Oh,
Her
wow.
knee. Yeah. Like I was 12 or 13. So she would have been in her late 50s when.
Okay.
So to give you an idea, my mom and dad I have a brother almost 20 years older than me. So there's
Okay.
quite a bit of age difference. My mom was in her early 40s when I was born. So
Oh,
she was
wow. Okay.
much older. And so some of it, I just thought it was because my mom was older, because my mom was the same age as most of my friends' parents. So I just thought it was because she was grandma. But it wasn't.
Yeah.
She wasn't. It was, and that was hard when I realized that, but I never knew that there was a chance I could have it. I did not understand that part of it. And there's a slim chance, but I mean, never understood. I
Yeah.
wish I did. I wish I would have.
You know, evidently my great grandma had RA, and I didn't know her. She died much, much before I was born. I have pictures where she's holding me in her lap in her wheelchair, and I think I was 4. But the stories that I've heard and how difficult and how different it was for them back in the day.
Yes.
Because really the option back then was, oh, here's an ibuprofen, hope you feel
Yep.
better. Well, what my mom told me was that she would wear canvas shoes and that they actually, I don't know who did it for her, but they cut holes in the side of her shoes to make room for like her bunions
Yep.
and deformities, just so she could comfortably put on shoes.
Yep. My mom
I,
wore like slip-on canvas shoes or like Croc style, shoes, the little clogs, because of her feet were so bad. Yeah. It's
More power to them. I feel like I would have not even, I'd been like, nope, no shoes for
Nope.
me. I'm done.
I always thought my mom just preferred no shoes. Like I just always assumed she didn't like wearing shoes. No, she just couldn't wear them. Like she physically couldn't wear them some days because she couldn't get them on. And it was because of the swelling and the joint deformities that most people didn't
Mhm.
even realize that she had.
How do you feel about shoes?
I hate them.
Me too.
I am like, I get a little jealous, like when you're on social media and you'll see some cute girl that's got these cute shoes on and you're like, oh, I'd love to have a pair of those. And then you realize what they are and you're like, no, if I can't ever wear those, because they've either got a heel or they're narrow or there's no cushion to them. Canvas shoes, tennis shoes, slippers. Those are my.
Oh, yeah. If I'm at home, I'm barefoot. I
Yep.
can't stand shoes. I don't even like socks. It's so confining. And I think I live in Vans. I really do.
Yes. See,
Anyone that
I
knows me
live
very well. Yep.
Keds, Vans, and Nikes. Those are my 3 shoes.
Yeah.
And I will find cute Keds to wear with a dressy outfit just so I don't have to wear dress shoes now.
But it's such a style now.
Yeah.
We can get away with it. I mean, we
Finally.
see these girls going to dances and proms and
Yeah.
Vans and yeah. I'm like, thank you for this style.
Why didn't it come back sooner? Like when we were in school.
Oh yeah. Oh, I hated high heels. Hated
I
them.
hated heels.
Hated them.
I looked ridiculous. I don't know about you, but I looked ridiculous walking in heels. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if it's ever been a comfort thing for me.
No.
I hate them. I own
Okay.
a couple pairs. Very rare will I actually wear them.
Yeah.
They
I don't
sit
know
there.
how. Yeah.
They
Do you
collect
take them off
dust.
when you get somewhere? Will you take them off? Like if you're at a
Oh,
wedding or something, like under your, oh, what happened? Oh,
you're still
sorry.
there.
I got a phone call.
That's
Sorry.
okay. I've been my Instagram and my phone, I've been getting all
Yeah.
these texts and stuff, and I'm like, please do not interrupt what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to have to edit that one.
That's okay. Where were we?
Heels
Oh, Dawson. Oh yeah.
like at a wedding. Do you take your shoes off like, or at a dance, or if you go to something like that, the fans, will you take them off under your chair?
Yes. And honestly, I'm trying to remember the last time I wore heels.
Yeah. Well, COVID happened and we never went anywhere.
I know when my niece passed away, I wore heels to her funeral. And of course, once it was over, I
Yep.
took them off. Once in a while, I wear them to church, and every single time I'm like, "You're an idiot." And I do. I take them off in the car, and then as soon as get seated, I take them off to the side again. And I'm like, "Oh, I hope I don't have sweaty feet."
You hope your feet don't
So yeah, I don't know. I'll yeah, Vans
yeah.
for everything. I
Yeah.
hope people understand me. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
I No, you're not. I'm right there with you.
Let's see here. I like to go on rabbit trails, can you tell?
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about misconceptions. Do you have any advice for fellow spoonies or fellow people with rheumatoid arthritis?
Um, my biggest advice would say just keep fighting. Don't let anyone make you feel like your pain is not valid. Just because it doesn't feel the same as somebody else's doesn't mean your pain's not valid. I think sometimes we hear, well, my pain's so bad. Well, that doesn't mean your pain isn't still bad. Like my pain's bad, but so is yours. It just might be different. And
Mhm.
I just, let's see. And I lost my train of thought again.
That's okay.
And also I think another thing that I've learned, especially in the last year and meeting you and Danny and so many other spoonies over on Insta, you're never alone. You are never alone in this fight. Like you've always got somebody in your corner. Like one of us
Absolutely.
spoonies will always be there to pump you up when you need it, you know, re-energize you, tell you you're enough, tell you you're worthy of this life, even though it can be a pain in the butt some days. But it is worth it. It is worth
We
it.
are we are your biggest cheerleaders every time.
Yes. Yes. That's the word I was looking for, was cheerleader.
I mean, I'm definitely not one, but
No,
I'm
yeah.
gonna cheer you
No.
on.
I'll wave my pom pom for you every day.
Yep, yep. So, is there anything that we haven't covered that you want to make sure we bring up?
Think so. I think we covered a lot.
I think we did
Or I
too.
feel like we did.
And I think for the first one, we did really good. I'm proud of us.
I kind of like this, like having coffee.
You know what? I forgot to get any. I forgot to make any. I forgot to get any.
I got my
I
tea.
have water. I make this
What
big
is
point of remember your
about
coffee, remember your
coffee?
spoon, and here's my water.
I had hot tea. I have peppermint tea. That is one of my other little things that helps me with. I don't know about you, but I get nauseous a lot, like from my medication. Like, so anything I can find that will help calm my stomach, and it's peppermint tea today.
Okay. Well, see, I think you just answered an important question. What is something you recommend for someone that's feeling that way? Peppermint
uh,
tea.
Peppermint tea, and if you are nauseous, there are these. I'll send them to you so you can put it in the description what they are. There are these little lozenges that are help with nausea, and they give them to the cancer patients at the cancer center here where my daughter works, and she told me about them,
Oh,
and they actually work really good, and they're small. You can throw them in. They're like a hard candy, so you can just suck on
okay.
them. They have suckers, but they're awesome. Yeah.
Where do they get them? Do you
Amazon.
know?
Amazon.
Okay, perfect. So, you know what? Let's get a link. We can add that in for people.
Yep.
We can add it to our Instagram too for everyone to see.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Have you ever tried ginger shoes?
Yes, and I'm not how do I put it? They work sometimes. They don't
They do.
always work for me. Like
They
the
don't
ginger
always
doesn't.
work. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I keep them in my purse at all times just
Yes.
in case.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Because you
I
never
use,
know when it's going to work or not.
oh yeah, and I've noticed my body is just not the same anymore. I get car
Mm-mm.
sick now. I used to never get car sick.
Yep.
Just a lot of really weird things. And so it's almost like we just need to make a list of all these potential things you might need to have on hand and things that you might have to deal with.
Yes. It really should,
Yeah.
because it would help.
Okay. Yeah, I think, well, and it's definitely something we can do for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I
Aw.
appreciate you coming on here. And I know that we were both a little bit nervous, but I think
Yes.
for the first one, we did great.
I think we did all right.
Where can we find you and follow you?
I on Insta and TikTok, I have my handle is the same on both now, so you can find me easier. It's just Linnea _ for me at either one.
Okay.
And I'm on Facebook, but I'm never over there.
Same, same. I tell people don't even bother with trying to get a hold of
Yeah.
me on Facebook. It's not
Yeah.
going to work.
No, I
All
try.
right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you
And
so much.
oh,
I
I can't wait till
appreciate you
next
doing
time.
this.
I appreciate
I
you
know.
too.
I'm looking forward to our second episode.
Yeah, let's start planning.
Okay, that
All
sounds
right,
good.
everyone. Until next time, don't forget your spoon. Okay, I'm going to hit stop, I think.